We're back and making up for lost time with a lot more developments today. Hello, my fam. It is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and your number one source for everything It Ends With Us saga. Earlier today, Justin Baldoni's publicist, Jen Abel, a key figure in the It Ends With Us saga, filed a motion in opposition of Stephanie Jones, his former publicist, her attempt to be dismissed from their lawsuit. Stephanie Jones is the villain at the heart of Subpoena-gate, which resulted in the Van Zandt lawsuit. I know it's a lot. I'm going to try to simplify, okay? Team Baldoni alleges that they fired Stephanie Jones and JonesWorks as their agency of record for cause. She wasn't doing a good job. She breached their contract. She revealed information that was confidential, etc., etc. Even before the shampoo company owner filed her lawsuit against this guy, Stephanie Jones filed a lawsuit against him first. And most of this stuff we've probably heard before, so I'm gonna just not read most of it. I'm just letting you know what's happening, okay? Honestly, this motion in opposition is so boring. But they do bring up some interesting points, meaning we're now so convoluted in everything that lawyers for Lively and Jones are messing up in court. Abel says to the judge, unable to counter Abel's well-pleaded allegations, which must be deemed true and which are entitled to all reasonable interferences, JonesWorks improperly inserts its own so-called factual allegations into the motion, sometimes mischaracterizing Abel's allegations, sometimes citing the pleadings of other parties, such as Lively, and sometimes citing nothing. Bloop. They go on to cite California law and California labor code. JonesWorks is devoid of any legal basis, blah, 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 blah. Therefore, the motion should be denied in its entirety for these reasons, which are more fully discussed below. We don't need to get into it all. This is like a rehash of everything, okay? Here is perhaps the juiciest bit in today's filing. Quote, JonesWorks incorrectly contends that Abel coordinated an unsanctioned smear campaign for Wayfarer and Baldoni against Lively in purported defiance of Stephanie Jones's instructions. In truth, Abel alleges in the Jones case that Stephanie Jones participated in meetings, calls, and written correspondence related to the public relations crisis involving Baldoni and Lively. Jones was copied on virtually all communications during this period and was privy to Wayfarer's predicament and its chosen strategy of non-confrontation. Jones admitted that she was deeply involved in strategy, planning, account management, and high-level PR and media comms in August 2024. Jones would have been contemporaneously aware of any smear campaign against Lively if it existed, and in contravention of Wayfarer's instruction to not speak with the press about Lively, Jones spoke with the Daily Mail and sparked a chain of unfortunate developments from a public relations perspective and concerning Lively. Hence, the amended counterclaims in the Jones case allege that Jones sanctioned and participated in any public relations campaign at issue in Lively's pleadings and did not reject it as JonesWorks now contends. In other words, Stephanie Jones is a very important player in all of this. So don't dismiss. However, not an important player in all of this is Elise Dorsey. Do you know who Elise Dorsey is? She is an attorney and survivor of sexual harassment and abuses of power who now advocates for stronger statutory protections for survivors and for strong blah blah. Okay, great. Sorry that you went through that. Wonderful what you're doing. And as I shared with you all in the video I made before this one, Team Pinocchio already submitted a brief to the judge on behalf of 3 organizations: the Equal Rights Advocates, the California Employment Lawyers Association, and the California Women's Law Center. They all helped pass this one law in California that makes it illegal to file a defamation lawsuit against a woman that comes forward with sexual harassment claims. Now, Elise Dorsey is filing her own separate motion with the judge in support of Blake Lively's invocation of the Protecting Survivors from Weaponization Defamation Lawsuit Act. So why is she being involved in this lawsuit now? It says she has a strong interest, Ms. Dorsey, in aiding courts in upholding codified protections for survivors, like California's Protecting Survivors from Weaponization. We're keeping that in. Like California's Protecting Survivors from Weaponizing Defamation, I can't speak today, Defamation Lawsuits Act, so that no survivor must endure what Miss Dorsey endured over a year and a half of litigation against her harasser. She claims Miss Lively and Miss Dorsey's experiences show that sexual harassment remains deeply entrenched in the American workplace. In just about every industry, sexual harassment derails careers, shatters confidence, and silences voices. The Me Too movement exposed the widespread nature of such misconduct and empowered survivors to share their experiences, but recent backlash has ushered in a troubling rise in retaliatory defamation lawsuits, which intimidate and stun survivors into inaction. These retaliatory lawsuits are a black mark on our legal system, undermining the fundamental rights of whistleblowers and rendering it nearly impossible to report misconduct. She then shares what exactly happened to her and argues, by providing a legal shield, anti-SLAPP laws can empower whistleblowers like Miss Dorsey and Miss Lively to share their experiences without the threat of protracted retaliatory litigation. Accepting Mr. Baldoni's and the Wayfarer Party's attack on the Protecting Survivors Act would destroy a crucial safeguard for all whistleblowers. This court should not endorse this effort to punish survivors who share their stories, nor should it entertain Mr. Baldoni's and the Wayfarer Party's attempt to invalidate the remedial provisions contained in the Protecting Survivors Act. Before I say anything else, everything that has been shared in Blake Zilla's complaint is all alleged. She has made accusations. No one has found him guilty of sexual harassment or abuse whatsoever in any way. But this whole memorandum is taking it as fact. As she claims later in this pleading with the court, as Ms. Lively and Ms. Dorsey's stories reveal, no person is immune from sexual harassment at work today. Whistleblowers, no matter their level of professional success, are too often subject to retaliatory lawsuits. Reminder, she filed the first lawsuit against him. He is just defending himself with receipts, proof, timeline, something that so far she and her husband are severely lacking in. And what more, he had every right to countersue. His complaint is full with real grievances, real consequences of her alleged actions. Lawyers be lawyering, even ones not directly affiliated with this lawsuit. Ay, ay, ay. Thoughts on everything? Let's discuss in the comments section.